self-assessment. You do a root cause analysis. You can't be dishonest to yourself. When in the बंद कमरे में, if you are looking into the mirror, looking at yourself, you will know सच्चाई क्या है. So once you do that self-assessment, then comes to others looking at you, external assessment. Customers looking at you, your friends looking at you, your well-wishers looking at you, and pointing it out constructively what you lack in, feedback. And third is then looking at others. That is what Lakshmi Mitra says. Best organizations, best leaders, whom you benchmark, जो आपके mentors है, जो आपके, जिसको आप अपना godfather मानते हैं, do benchmark and then lift up your qualities as a leader, your performance as a business, and whatever parameters are there, you tend to follow. उनका क्या है और हमारा क्या है? How do we bridge that gap and start working towards that? I guess some of you are chartered accountants, and some of you are above chartered accountants. You drive chartered accountants. So we are obsessed with making one balance sheet, Schedule 6, which is now revised Schedule 6. If you really want to catch enterprise value, you have to follow this balance sheet, which is called a radical or revolutionary balance sheet, where you have a tangible assets like operating cash generating assets and free cash flow. My magical word here is a free cash flow, because I was introduced first as a magician. Performing assets, you please go through in your balance sheet, and I can bet 70% of the assets are only probably maximum contribute to the performance for the company. 30% is just lying idle, not used, and don't generate that kind of return on capital investment. So which are the performing assets? Sales growth, coming out of new product, coming out of new markets, coming out of new customers. And your order book, the balance sheets don't reflect your health of the order book. And what is the visibility of order book? What is profitability embedded into the order book? If you know this parameter, I think you have done one important aspect as a good CFO, and you have captured the real intrinsic value of other assets which are not directly coming through Schedule 6 balance sheet. Conversely, you see also off balance sheet liabilities, LDs if not provided for, third party claims many times happen, matter of convenience, tax and legal disputes, bank guarantees and corporate guarantees. Many of us, we really don't look at this guarantee part, let me tell you. And sometimes you get immediately as a things, this guarantee is invoked, that guarantee is getting encashed, and that tensions come. Indirect borrowings, commitment failures, volatility, forex, commodity, and interest rates. Then your intangible assets also are much more important, that drive bigger enterprise value. Credit rating, customers and vendors in pipeline, empowered HR resources, business intelligence, brands, new products in pipeline, cutting edge technology. And in case of pharma, if patents, all patents are expiring, do you have new molecules and new patents in pipeline? Similarly, your negative side of intangibles is bad financial reputations through credit rating getting downgraded, bad publicity, employee disengagement, customers mistrust, and integration failures of mergers and acquisitions. Now, if this balance sheet is properly done, judiciously prepared, then you have something to call enterprise value, which is net worth as per the balance sheet, plus debt payable, plus addition value of these net assets. If this is minus, then you please reduce it. And that is the value of the business. So normally we are always thinking about tangible assets. I want to ask you, am I going little fast than what you are able to digest? Yes, fine. So basically we always take cognizance of these assets in the first place. Nothing wrong with that. But these are, in today's time, enterprise value, large part is driven with how effectively you are addressing these intangible assets. How much care and concern in our operating life we are showing through our MIS, through our internal management deliberation, ongoing review of each of the assets, brands, this business intelligence, human capital, those kind of things. And I have left one so far magic word is, what was that? Free cash flow. Please sink in your mind. Make that part of your DNA. This differentiates best organizations with rest of the organizations. So how do you generate free cash flow? Where does it come from? One is from your normal operating activities, sales growth, sourcing efficiency, R&D, economies of scale, efficient tax planning, higher labor activity. You generate a profit. That profit goes into another dadi ka matka. And there you bring some more saving through effective working capital management. Maybe your extended suppliers credit, maybe working capital reduction through better planning, better inventory management, better receivable management, or by switching your assets and higher productivity of assets, fixed capital assets, then you spend lower capex. You negotiate rate of interest, then your outflow of interest is also reduced. Then your loan repayments, acquisition fundings, and statutory tax payments. Finally, what you see is something like free cash flow to take care your future growth opportunities. If you don't have free cash flow, my dear friends, how the next age growth will come, where it will come from. And I would have loved to spend something like 30 minutes on this template. This template is result of more than 700 pages of management good book on how they create a value. But I will just leave one very important hint on this. Once you know the business drivers, your immediate first call to create enterprise value is just look at reduced cost of capital. And there are various scientific, logical, and ways and means to reduce the cost of capital. Reduce the float, reduce your better allocation of capital, many other ways. Then you divest and hive off net non-performing businesses, non-performing assets, and non-performing human capital also. If you want to retain them as a charitable ground, put them in some other company. But don't keep that non-performing human power, human capital also part of this business things. Then your short-term approach creating values, operating excellence through growth strategy, through better pricing, through better working capital management, reliable operations, organization capability. But that's not it. But unfortunately, most of our time goes into that. The second magic mantra which I want to leave with you in your mind is ETIC, to create a long-term value. What is ETIC? Ethic is engaged employees is E. Let us reflect. Do we have something like very energetic, very encouraged, very dedicated, and vibrant employee force who will stand by to take care of your future growth? Then technology upgradation. Today's technology will become tomorrow commodity. So how do you keep upgrading and updating your technology? Technology, please don't mistake, only happens in factory. Technology is also in mind. Some people call modernization of mind. That's also technology improvement. Innovations, I. Not that what you innovate, how much you encourage your employees to come with creative ideas, bright ideas, innovative ideas, and how much encouragement you give them to implement that ideas. And last is customer focus. So ETIC. So free cash flow and ETIC. These are the two magic mantras so far we are capturing through presentation. I will not deal with this. This is too lengthy for this time. And basically, organization capital down below, just kindly mark, is capital comprised of culture, leadership, alignment, and teamwork. So as a CFO, you would have expected I will give financial numbers. No, first this is the bright capital. And rest indirectly I have shared, so I will not inflict you with that more details. Quality into services and cost into cycle time. You see the fun. If your cost increases and cycle time increases, your value diminishes. So this is just mathematical expression of these four words which help to create a value. So very quickly, since I think I have still 10 minutes, correct? Sure? So I don't have to go with tense and strain. Thank you. Strategic imperatives for any organization revolves around these four fundas. Grow the business aggressively. Not growing is a high risky job, but growing without ensuring profitability, sustainability of capital is equally risky. So you have to see that the growth comes with profitability and sustainability. Manage the net relation judiciously. That's the second imperative. Control the cost, eliminate the waste ruthlessly. You may be a very good human being, But when it comes to controlling the cost, please show your another quality of your as a human being. You have to be ruthless there. You can't afford to be soft and goody-goody. And sweep the assets relentlessly. Assets को आप जितना churn करो and see that kind of, I have a lot of mathematical tabulations I can't give you, but then this impact is fabulous. If you churn your assets, say, improve by 20%, then your profitability line will be altogether different. Your ROI and other norms. Okay. I think I have signal to go faster. Now, this template I want you to see also, this financial supply chain. You may not have heard the name, but I tell you, some of the Fortune 500 companies CFO have shared this in one of my international seminar. I have addressed more than 45 international seminars as a speaker. So I sometimes bring their good templates and share with my domestic friends like you. This financial supply chain is, you connect this whole thing where it ensures integrated way to create a high visibility and control over all your cash related assets. You have a better predictability and better predictability of cash flow, which is very important, and also reduction of working capital and reduction of the cost. What more you require? So this is like, a flow. How do you ensure credit worthiness? How do you ensure that electronic bill presentation payment like issue invoices? How do you ensure cash and liquidity management like forecasting cash? How do you ensure dispute management? Do you have that concept or not? How do you ensure collection management? And how do you ensure treasury and risk management? If you have a integrated approach of all these components, you have excellent working capital management. I have seen the results by applying this model in my previous company as well, and the results have come tremendously so well. The market cap of that company rose from, Dinaben, from 100 crore, I joined in 2001, I'm sharing openly, and when I left it was 15,000 crore. 100 crore to 15,000 crore was the value creation. So one of the strategic action CFO is to know is have a laundry list of all the risk which it exposes to. But analysis says 58% risk are around strategic issues like demand, competition, M&A related, operation related 31%, financial only 6%, and hazard only 5%. Normally we feel like fire and all that, but that all happens only 5%. So how do you address that risk in general? My topic has already been handled by Mr. Rastogi. One process is you just answer whether it is risk is worth taking. Others don't carry that risk. Eliminate strategic planning or business counseling process, or you reduce by bringing certain more technological improvements to the process, or risk transfer through insurance company or PVC clause, or something you have written. Three things have to have a risk: marriage, war, and business. If you don't have risk, then you really don't enjoy. Some of the guiding principles of working capital focus is you must have. Now these three things, a lot of things I have picked up after talking to CFO of Microsoft, Bill Gates, who reports to him. And I had advantage to talk to him. So I asked him, you handle $72 billion treasury and I handle only $3 billion US dollar treasury. So what all you do, which we don't do or which we need to improve upon. So this is the point which is straightway said, Mr. Jaju, I have reliable, complete, timely MIS to support my business decisions. Benchmark financial performance, sustainability of business margins, monitoring of free cash flow, avoid potential non-performing assets, regulatory compliances, and target to run all major business processes with least human intervention. Problem is with few of us, including me, when there is not a SAP complete integrated approach, then you download the data, represent according to your convenience. I'm not saying you are bringing intellectual disintegrity, but I'm saying that you concoct the whole data the way it suits you. Marketing people को बोलोगे तो वो बोलेंगे मेरा सेल्स इतना बढ़ गया क्योंकि एक ऑर्डर आ गया, उसका चेक मेरे ड्रॉर में पड़ा है. फाइनेंस वाला उसको हटाएगा, उसकी सेल्स अलग हो जाएगी. I expected so. So some of these measurement tools I will not inflict you because you have gone through, but these are the health diagnostic tools, all these ratios, current ratios, debt equity ratios, ROC, ROW, EVA, economic value addition. is one of the master of the ratios. If you really can work out, if organization creates positive EVA, I think that's making some positive value for the organization. Free cash flow. I can't ignore the word free cash flow and cash ROC anytime. So these are about internal controls. I have to wrap up in 5 minutes without getting signal from them. One is on value. What you look at is a current value, current operating performance value, which is evident from your balance sheet. But what is future value of this organization, which you have to see as a period of, say, next 5 years to 10 years. And that only combination of COV, current operating value, plus FGO, future growth value, becomes the value of your organization. So where the future growth value comes from? See, future growth value comes from, do you have definitive growth plans like M&A? Do you have something concrete R&D? Do you have something good bench of your leadership? Do you have something good technology coming in pipeline? And do you have some effective new products coming in the market? Then that will generate future growth value. You see that the organization value 2008, 2.5 billion tha. 2013 is value 6.2, whereas PAT is still 2.5, where mostly is coming from. Only 1 billion is coming growth in PAT. 2.7, you can see that, can you read that? Is coming out of this all other things in pipelines. I will skip that M&A because I want to take you something, one slide very interesting. Because M&A, you know that, of course, topic by itself, but M&A is something which you have to do very judiciously, thinking what is, but this slide, please take note. If you do M&A and don't show that pains of integrating that organization with your organization, then what happens? Standalone, that performance is 1, your performance is 1, you are not adding any value, 1 plus 1, 2. But if you absorb the best values of that organization into your organization, then you create a 1 plus 1, 3. But story does not end here. When you also losing your ego, organization ego, you allow your best practices to get into next organization, and that organization target company best practices and values into your parent company. Not saying that I am the great. If I acquired company, say in Europe, does not mean that I am boss of that company. If somebody is there, best of the marketing, please make him the head of marketing committee, including that Indian team. Then you get a best of both. And that creates a breakthrough value creation for the organization. I am not saying transformation, nirvana avastha, which is something ultimate part. This is integration strategy. I thought I will just deal with this. Some of the challenges of valuation, I think as per Mark and Sirovar and McKinsey's, 57% M&A have miserably failed post-acquisition. Underperformed, they have destroyed the value. 2/3, and this is a study of 20 years M&A deals. One of the reason is that some entrepreneurs end up paying very high premium, so-called those synergies, and that assessment of synergies is not properly calculated. They get driven by, with due respect, a lot of investment bankers, they also create a lot of flutter on this whole thing. So they get carried away. And number 2 is that something integration failure. Sometimes when you have two different cultures, if integration failure happens, you end up losing the best of the talents. And you are not able to absorb the best practices to the advantage to the combined organization. Deal structuring. I'm only leaving that you study, please, Tata Chorus merger, how that funding has happened beautifully. $12.5 billion, while from India it got injected only 4.6. How that leveraging has been done by creating some multiple companies in UK, and then tax benefit, and then finally financing happened, and still ring-fenced the India Tata still company from that subsequent funding. I will not deal with this another company transformational case, which I have given you. My bottom line picture is that from a minus 200 crore loss became, these are all USD million, 1,000 crore, $175 million US dollar, profits consistently. It cannot be like by default. It is a consistent approach by deploying the various transformational steps, initiatives, and market cap from 20 million US dollar to more than 3 billion US dollar. As I said, so now, one my parting thought is, you have to be innovative like that, but you must, while performing, delivering business results, accept inalienable rights of shareholders as true owner of the company. So conflict will not come. It belongs to them. आप तो सिर्फ लक्ष्मी जी के पुजारी हैं, treasurers. You are just custodian for that wealth belonging to shareholders. Number 2, commitment to values and ethical business conduct. Be innovative for capital efficiency and profitable growth mindset. Integrate with business objectives. Maximize revenue through de-risking business model. Create and enhance long-term shareholders' value. And Dinaben, I will like to take 3 minutes on this template. I know that I am overshooting. This is one of my passionate template. I'm sorry, really I'm cutting to your time. You are seeing very interesting slide. I am a bit passionate about that, and this really gives you a very big sense of a new age financial leadership, what they can do. I will invite somebody to give any meaning of this slide, if somebody can really, without losing time, can give their mindset. What they read out of this template, very quickly, if somebody can take lead. Okay, so all are engrossed on that. Let me do that job on your behalf. You see zebra, and it's a relatively weaker animal. Zebra represents today business houses, leadership, CFOs, or whatever you feel like. So it's a weak animal. This weak animal is chased by most formidable animal, lion, which can be SEBI, regulatory authorities, or strong competitor, or your strong leader to destabilize you, whatever you think in your mindset. So how can you survive? The answer is yes, you can still survive as long as you are driving your path with clear focus. You're not looking at here and there like what you used to do in college time. You're going straight with a focus, looking at new markets, looking at new customers, looking at new opportunities, looking at to exploit those addressable opportunities, and you are going in that path. And you are using the best of the technology, upgraded technology and right technology with a speed, maintaining your intellectual integrity, not compromising to that. Complying with all the rules and regulation. You are not breaking that road lines and border lines. You are going in accordance with the rules of the law. Once you are going with that, I am sure you can leave behind your best of the competitor, the leader which you have a threat, authorities which they are chasing you after, whether income tax authorities or SEBI or jo bhi hai, and you can grow and grow and grow. And with these words, my big thanks to you. I'm sorry the time was short, otherwise I would have loved to have. Thank you very much.
I think we have had really 2 excellent speakers. Mr. Rastogi talking about forex hedging, and what I best liked about his entire speech was that if you want to be in the business of taking punting on the currency value, then it is not your business. You should stick to your business, and whatever foreign exchange risk comes, it must be hedged irrespective. Very often I have seen a lot of people who are my customers for currency, hedging. What they say is that, I have sold the goods, so many dollars are going to come, but I think dollar value is going to change. So should I hedge or not hedge? And taking a view on the forex market, then instead of running their business, they keep on looking at the dollar rate on the screen to see whether they have gone wrong or not. And I remember Mr. Jaju has just gone out, but he was very categorical in the previous speech that he gave at IMC, where he talked about how important it is that you don't get guided by too many consultants, and you take your own view, because he had a very strong view on the consultants, because all the foreign exchange scams, rather not scams, derivative related write-offs that people have had, and even big companies like Larsen and Tobro, it also took a hit on the balance sheet due to the foreign exchange. And these are such enlightened people. If they are not able to risk their forex, I mean, it is really sad as to how the entire scene on foreign exchange. I was just telling them last time, you told don't rely on consultants when it comes to foreign exchange. Okay, but take your own decision. Yeah. And Mr. Jaju's present also was excellent. I think he is, one of the only CFOs who has got 4 national level awards, and from IMA for business transformation, from IMA from excellence in finance in large corporate, CNBC TV 18, from Institute of Chartered Accountants for engineering and capital goods sector, and also as the overall wealth maximization award from BSE. So this presentation, I am sure it completely reflects, and the last slide which we saw, it really shows what are the challenges before us. And I like the part that the regulator is a lion, which is completely going after you. No, sir, it is a lion, no perception. There's a reality that to outpace the regulator is really a challenge by itself, especially our industry, broking industry. Regulator always believes that the small investor needs to be protected, whatever he does needs to be protected. So in this kind of channeling environment where at the cost of fairness, certain positions are taken by the regulators, which becomes really difficult for the participants to manage. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I am sure you had a very enlightening session. We'll break for tea. It will be for about 10 minutes. So I request you to bring your cups and come on the table. Sorry, I have to give the mementos. Sorry, Neha. I request Neha, our convener, to hand over the mementos to our speakers. We'll take one photograph. आप आगे आए. सर्कुलेट हो जाता है
sorry, presentation. Only thing is that
it is safe.
Which one is there? No, not this one. Where is mine? No, this. आपने कहाँ वो किया? ये लाइक क्या? So should I delete? Means You are not going to circulate. Okay.
I have written in my program
Not to circulate. Na?
if you want to give some revised one for the circular draft, because people will ask, follow the application. I will ask.
उचलून घे आता नाही ते गेले ना चाय पियाला यांना कधी लागतं नाही
Hey, memento, Mr. Jadu, presentation. Memento, Jadu.
कॅरी बॅग नाही आणली ना तिथे उतारून द्यायचं
हा मग दोन आहे ना अमृतसरचं आहे का
बोलतो ना मी बोलत होतो कॉर्पोरेटला यायचं आपल्या
और राजू पाईचं
हे माहीत नाही कोण आहे
हा आहे राजू
आला
नाही आहे प्रेझेंटेशन हां आलं राजू पाई पहिलं अमृतसरचं आहे
इंडिया
अमृतसरचं आता कुठं .com
आता लास्टच आहे ना राजू भाई उद्या असेल काढून टाकले
मोस्ट वेलकम
दिले नाही त्याच्यात नाव सांगते तर ते काही ऑफिस नाही हे की नाही दोनच बाकी दोन आहे ना काम बसवणार तिकडे याच्यामध्ये आहे
अरेंजमेंट बरोबर आहे ना तिघांची हां तीनच आहे बघा चेअर अरेंजमेंट बघा हां एक चेअर करूया
तिने तसं एक चेअर कमी करतो
ते पण मिडलला लावा
Seminar with his slides. So much of material he has got that almost half day session can be organized. Okay, we go on to another very interesting topic and that is going to be corporate restructuring. As we have been talking throughout the day, that managing the finances, restructuring the businesses, more is on alignment of assets, aligning the assets to businesses which are profitable, removing the assets. As we say, in most companies' cases, there are so many assets which are really not yielding any income, and they are just sitting over there. They are taking away the capital, and the returns that you get have to be distributed, and you don't get any return on such non-performing assets. So these kind of topics we have with us, and to talk about them, we have an excellent person. In fact, when we were designing the program, the first name that came to our mind was of Amrish Bhai, because the long list of restructurings and the key assignments that he has done is really very commendable. Amrish Bhai is the national leader on transaction tax practice at Ernst & Young. He joined E&Y in 2010 and is presently based at the Mumbai office. He cleared his chartered accountancy in 1992, and he has been a member of the Direct Tax Committee of the CII. He has over 19 years experience, a super specialist in mergers and acquisition, M&A, and he has extensive experience in advising clients in area of acquisition, disinvestment, mergers, demergers, corporate restructuring, reorganizing, foreign investment consulting. I think the list of transactions that he has done is a real envy, because anybody would like to have all these transactions on their CV. He has some of the key transactions as Lavaza's acquisition of Barista. Barista was sold off. Sodex acquisition of Radhakrishna Hospitality Service. DHL acquisition of Blue Dart. Investment by Advent International in Care Hospitals. M&M acquisition of Kinetic Motors. M&M acquisition of Renault stake in their GV. HDFC's acquisition of Centurion Bank of Punjab. Then KKR investment in Dalmia Cement. Tata Motors acquisition of JLR. I think this is one of the real, a transaction which is a feather in the cap of a country as a whole. I think that was real. UB Group's joint venture with Scottish and Newcastle. Seri Finance joint venture with BNP Paribas. Billcare acquisition of Ineos Packaging. I think Billcare is a pharmaceutical packaging, I think manufacturing company based in Pune. Gwalior Chemicals, sale of specialty chemicals, and ALF's disinvestment of courier business of FedEx. So really fantastic kind of experience that he has had in this space. I request Ms. Neha Gada to kindly felicitate Amrish Bhai. And now over to you. You are the only speaker, so you have all the time. I think we can leave about 10 minutes for question and answers. So we have time till 4:30. So you have time till 4:30. So by 4:15 or so, if you could, in an hour's time, then the audience could ask questions. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Dinaben, for a very, very benevolent introduction. I hope I stand up to that in front of you today when we are going to talk over the next hour and 15 minutes on what I believe to my own liking is my passion, is my heart in that sense, because any restructuring, anything relating to a deal just excites me, and I hope I'm able to at least share some of my experiences and some of my intricacies involved in some deals with you all, and look forward likewise if you all have any such experience, so that one can gain more from this. My colleagues on the dais, Mr. Vipul Chokshi, Neha, And to all of you, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to be in front of you. I was very, very intrigued with the last slide that Mr. Jaju put up, and I was trying to interpret it in my own way as a professional person. And I just said that Lion, in my view as a professional today, is the pace of change of regulations. And it is moving so fast that what you would have decided yesterday, you may want to change today and then again tomorrow. And that's the pace. And if we are that zebra as a professional, how do we catch up with it? And I think the answer is sessions like this, and that is which is the bike as I saw it, because that allows all of us, to intermingle, clarify doubts or, share experiences. And I think